Welcome back to the Citytilidie channel. Hope you're all staying safe and well. One of our little football first, but we have a look at first matchups. Yeah, teams that we might have played late in the day. Yeah, I'm not going to go back to our first matchups in the 1880s and 90s. There's no point in that, but perhaps more modern times. So we're all going back to 1956 today, hence the shirt. Very significant. And we're going to go back to January 1956. And the first meeting between City and another well-known football club. They've not done so well recently, but successful season for City, of course, 1955-56 season. And our first ever matchup was Southend United on the 28th of January 1956. It never nearly went ahead at one stage. I'm sure it would have been played at some time, but we'll talk about that in a minute. This was the fourth round of the FA Cup at the old Roots Hall ground in Southend. I believe they are trying to move at the moment, but they're still at that ground. And Southend themselves, of course, they were based in Southend-on-Sea, which helps, in Essex, still at the Roots Hall ground now, although, as I said, there are plans to move. Nicknamed the Shrimpers, and currently playing in the National League. Yeah, they lost their league status. Just as I'm recording this, just a year ago, after 101 years, yes, so they're now playing in the National League, but the final seasons in the Football League were dogged a little bit by financial problems, unfortunately. Build up to the game, yeah, Southend were in Division 3 South, obviously it's regionalised in those days, when the two teams met. We were on a satisfying cup run, yeah, they'd already taken the scalps. This is the fourth round, don't forget, so they'd already played 3 rounds, taking the scalps of Weymouth, Lincoln City and QPR. City's beaten Blackpool at home at the second try, because the first game was abandoned. As I say, it must have been a bit of a wet winter that year, because obviously they say we're going to have trouble with this game as well. But yeah, the first game was abandoned with the score at 1-1. But in the second, the rearranged game at Main Road, City managed to win 2-1. And of course, we were bidding to get back to Wembley after the defeat the previous season against Newcastle. This game, as I said, in itself was also threatened by the weather, and many judged it a surprise to go ahead at all. I think the referee passed it fit to play before there was a late storm, which probably made it unplayable. We'll put the link on screen. There's 3 or 4 minutes highlights on YouTube. Quite not the greatest images, but very interesting to watch. And it was subtitled the Gluepot Cup Tie. Gluepot, like the River Cup Tie. It was just played on water. It was awful. The attendance for the game, though, 29,500 and about 17,000 umbrellas, I think, as well. The team, Southend United, that day was Threadgold, Williamson, Howe, Duthie, Sterling, Lawler, Lockhart, McCrory, Hollis, Barrett and McGuigan. And the City team, some famous names and some names known to us: Troutman, Levers, Little, Barnes, Ewing, Paul, Spurdle, Hayes, Johnston, Dyson and Clark. Over to the match itself, yeah, and we've got, thanks to John Maddox, who... the official statistician at the time at City, well, obviously in the Wednesday, the 8th of October 1986, a Littlewoods Cup challenge match against Southend. He called it his memory match. So thanks to John Maddox, I'm just going to read the excerpt from that on the game and the build-up to the game itself. So here we go with John Maddox. The venue was officially Southend's new Roots Hall ground, but a spectator might have been forgiven for thinking he had strayed onto Southend Beach. Such was the state of the pitch. Indeed, it was a pitch that had been featured in the press prior to the game for more than likely teams for the day. A battle had been going on for over a fortnight to get it into some sort of reasonable condition, but every time the workmen appeared to be winning, fate would score against them once more in the form of a prolonged outbreak of heavy rain. Drainage ditches were dug, tons of sand were laid down, and on Wednesday before the match, it was played on a Saturday, it appeared to be quite playable. But the next day, after over 12 hours of continual rain, the trenches were dug again and thousands of cockle shells were used as a bed to assist drainage. I forgot the shrimpers, should have stuck some shrimps in there as well. Meanwhile, City manager Les McDowell had finalised his team as one that had been unchanged for 7 out of the previous 8 league and cup games, with Bobby Johnston fulfilling the deep-lying centre-forward role to the exclusion of the transfer-listed Don Revie. City were to play in colours they had worn in the 1934 FA Cup final win over Portsmouth. Claret shirts, yes, we didn't call them red in those days, claret shirts with blue facings and collars. Saturday morning saw an early referee's inspection. He pronounced the pitch fit and happily went off for his breakfast. In the event, it proved to be a storm before the game, and when the teams trotted out into the teeming rain, the area resembled the Florida Everglades in places. Some of the markings had disappeared, the sawdust floating on pools of rainwater, and the bank spectators huddled under a mass of umbrellas. In the first 15 minutes, the Seasiders gave the City defence a real hammering, and Bert Troutman was called upon to make a brilliant fingertip save over the bar from Roy Hollis, who at the time was the leading scorer in Division 3 South. The game fast developed into a farce. The teams gamely tried their best to produce some football on the swamp, but passes stopped dead, the players slivered all over the place, and it was likely that any goal would result from a lucky break. The break fell to City against a run of play. Billy Spirdle got the ball inside to Joe Hayes, whose shot just about crept over the line. He hadn't even the impetus to reach the netting. The rest of the game was virtually one-way traffic towards the City goal. United battled against both the conditions and the valiant City defence, where Dave Ewing, Bill Levers and Roy Little were outstanding. When they did get through, they were faced with the magnificent Troutman, who saved the Blues with a string of super saves, many of them point blank, including an incredible one from Hollis in the 70th minute. Little was seen of City attack, although Johnson did hit one against the bar with Harry Threadgold well beaten. But the Blues survived. Someone said that Southend should have had 2 penalties, to which their manager Harry Warren replied, "Why worry? Troutman would have probably saved them anyway." The result gave the Blues a 5th round tie at home to Liverpool, of course. So that was our next challenge in that 1956 Cup run. Yeah, there's some on the YouTube. There's some comments from guys who actually were there on the day and watched it. Southend fans had actually been there as kids and watched the match, and they do talk about Bert Troutman's heroics on that day. As stated, Troutman was the difference between the teams, and he described his own thoughts on the game. He said, "But it was one of the hardest I have known, and plucky Southend deserved the highest praise for their gallant efforts." Southend, though, will never get higher than the 2nd tier of English football in their time. As I said, they're not in it anymore, not in the Football League anymore, but we played them in the 1996-97 season in the 2nd tier of English football. So that's the first time we met in the league. I said we did play them in the Littlewoods Cup as well. Let's hope that their stay outside of the Football League is not too much longer. As I say, it's been obviously May 2021. I'm recording this in July 2022, so hopefully they'll be able to get back fairly soon. City, of course, we get to Wembley that season as promised by certain people at City last year, the 1955, and we would leave with the FA Cup this time. So, although it looked very unlikely at times in that quagmire of Roots Hall ground that we were progressing much past the 4th round, never mind getting to the final and winning it. Anyway, thanks for joining for this little Football First feature. Our first ever meeting with Southend United. Let's hope we meet again quite soon on the 28th of January 1956 in the 4th round of the FA Cup at Roots Hall. A 1-0 win for City on the way to winning the Cup. Thanks for watching, guys. Please, till we meet again, stay safe. Come on, City. Bye for now.